Hey guys, I'm Never. Welcome back to another Dragonheir video. Today we're going to be talking about the rare artifacts in Dragonheir, as once you reach rank 3 on your heroes and you can start equipping them, they do make a massive difference. But without having the prior experience, it is difficult to know exactly which artifacts are worth investing in and what will benefit you the most. So artifacts are acquired by receiving duplicates of heroes. So to get rare artifacts, you just need to get rare duplicates, and then you can buy them for 50 currency. So what we're going to do today is we're going to break down all of the rare artifacts, and I'll give you my opinion on how I feel they perform and whether I think they're worth investing in or not, so that you can get a bit of an insight into what to build for your heroes. Of course, this is all based on my personal opinion, and opinions will vary. So if we jump into this, we've got a tier list ready to do this. So the first artifact we're going to talk about today is the Ancestor's Bone. And it is a great option for damage dealers, as it increases your critical damage by 25% when you fully upgraded it. So this is very strong, but unfortunately it's let down a little bit by the fact that it gives HP percent rather than attack percent. So there are just way better options, but if you're limited on choices, it does remain a really good option for your second or maybe third damage dealer. So because it can be used very frequently, I'm going to put it in A tier for now. So next up, we've got the Banner of Oath artifact, and this is one I found particularly strong at the start of the game when I was progressing in Grave of Venom to help keep my tank alive due to how much damage the boss actually dealt. So if you position your team well, you're gaining 25% defense at all times, whilst also gaining a boost to your HP and defense just from the basic stats on it. So I personally feel like this is the best tank artifact for rare, well, for when it comes to rares. Of course, there are better epics and legendaries, but in terms of rares, I'm going to stick this one in the S tier. So next up, we've got the Dancing Gyro, and it is a really strong option, especially if you're building into Dauntless heroes and you've only got rare and maybe a handful of epic artifacts. Of course, with it being a rare artifact, it does get outscaled relatively easily, as with all rares, but it's a great option to begin with, and especially if you're building say for example, you're building a team of 3 Dauntless, it might be a great third option for you. So I'm going to give this one an A tier as well. Next up, we've got the Elven Hunters quiver, and this is the first artifact you actually get when you complete the story mission to upgrade a hero to rank 3 for the first time. And it will give a huge amount of damage and get a lot of usage throughout your time playing Dragonheir until you get some better epic options. So it does give you a large boost to your attack stats with both flat attack and attack percent, but also has a 30% chance of dealing derivative damage every time you hit. And obviously that can only trigger every 6 seconds, but it does remain a great option and will bring a huge amount of damage to your champions. So that's going to get an S tier from me. Next up, we've got the Great Traveller's Headband, and I personally don't see much use for this artifact unless you're struggling to keep a support alive in maybe a fight where you're getting constantly controlled, like in Arena, but it is unlikely that it will be the case until you're later on in the game, and as such have better access to much better artifacts for these situations. So I personally wouldn't waste any resources on this one, and I'm going to put it in C tier. Now we've got the Horn of the Labyrinth Lord, and just like the Dancing Gyro, it almost feels custom built for Dauntless heroes, but it's just better due to the uptime on the attack buff you're getting and how frequently Dauntless heroes use their basic skills. You're going to have this buff up nearly all of the time and gain a huge amount of stats from the artifact. So I see this as being the best option for Dauntless when it comes to rare artifacts, so I'm giving it an S tier. Now we've got the Ivoran's Arrow, and it's quite niche, but it can be helpful early on when you don't have access to scrolls for your heroes to guarantee the debuff placement on their battle skills. So say they've only got 75% chance before being upgraded, using this can help to bridge that gap to 100%. But it's one of those artifacts that as time goes on, it will simply just get outscaled by having heroes that are better at consistently placing debuffs without the need for this added boost. But of course it is usable, so I'm going to give it a B tier in case you do need to help improve your consistency early on. So the Luminary Order Gospel is probably the best artifact when it comes to healers. Obviously it does give a flat boost to your healing by 15% when fully upgraded, and in my opinion it deserves to be in S tier with the others so far, because when you're building your team and you're looking for an artifact for your healers, this one feels like a no-brainer, and I believe everyone should use it early in the game. So next we've got the Lunar Harp, which is very similar to the arrow we've already covered, and the only difference is this does do your ultimate skills instead of your battle skills. So once again, it's a bit of a niche use and will get outgrown over time, but I'll give it the same rating of a B tier because if you do need to improve your consistency in the early stages, this can help to bridge that gap. So next up is the Meditator's Pipe, and this artifact is incredibly strong for poison heroes because you're gaining attack, you're gaining accuracy, and you're gaining enlightenment, all three of which are vital stats for building a poison hero. So of course their damage scales from attack and enlightenment, but they also need the accuracy to land their poisons. This artifact rolls all three of those into one, and it is an amazing option to increase the stats that you're looking for. So I'm going to give this one an A tier. Now we've got the Stone Cloak, and unfortunately I don't see a huge amount of value in this one because it only gives you a shield for the first 15 seconds of a fight. And outside of that, of course, it's basically just a defense percent stat stick. You're really not gaining a huge amount of value. If this was to give you shields periodically through the fight or have a chance to trigger during the fight, it would be significantly better. But because of that, unfortunately, I'm going to put it in a C tier because I just don't see it having a huge amount of worth. Now we've got the Troll's Heart, and this is another artifact that's great for tanks in the early game or your healers, as resistance is something that comes in massive use when you're fighting content like the Feymeander boss early on. But the amount of stats this artifact provides, it's just hard to ignore in general, as it's boosting your HP by 20% whilst also giving you defense and resistance. Especially useful when you've got low gear levels and you're not able to really keep up with the requirements for the content you're facing. So I'm going to give this one an A tier. So the last artifact we're going to cover is almost a mirror image of one of the epic artifacts that I personally use in nearly every single battle, and that's the giant, the eyeball of the giant. So this one is the volcanic disc, and it's just a watered down version of that. It's giving you attack percent whilst also increasing the damage of your ultimate skill by 15% when fully upgraded. It's just a great option for your AoE damage dealers to help you clear through content. Like I personally use the epic version of this on my Sigrid nearly everywhere. But just using this on your AoE nuker or your main damage dealer can help provide a significant boost, maybe help you get through a few extra stages, or also help you kill others in the arena. So I'm going to give this one an S tier, and I think it does deserve to be there. So that is all for the rare artifact tier list, and stay tuned. Obviously in the next few days I do plan on tackling the epic and the legendaries as well, and they will probably be towards the end of the week, but just keep an eye out and we'll get them posted as soon as possible. But thank you very much for watching this video today. Obviously if you are enjoying the content I'm putting out, please do remember to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.